Hey guys, it's me, Istebrak. Today I wanted to talk about my sketches, my recent sketches, and my basic process around them. So I've been wanting to go for a bit more like a hand-drawn, perfected kind of line art, leaning in on line art feeling. And so that's why I've been working against the lighter background. It's not white, it's still gray, but it's a very light gray. And I wanted to talk about balancing large shapes in a sketch. So balancing a cloak or a hood against where you want to concentrate detail like a face or some sort of artifact or belt or other aspect of the costume. And what you have to do, you always, and this is the rule and this is the big tip of the day, start with the large objects. And what's important is that when you decide where the largest object is going to be, you can't just fill that object up. You can't just, throw in a bunch of detail that does absolutely nothing for it. You have to keep that object full of volume, full of empty space, which works as negative space. When you have this negative space, you really establish a really nice plate on which to decorate some detail, decorate with detail. So as you can see, his cloak is completely void of detail, but areas where his hands are, areas where his hood is, where other artifacts are, these are all areas that I get to detail, but only because I have all this breathing room everywhere else. So we stay very, very bulky. This is really reminiscent of the animation discipline, trying to animate large shapes instead of smaller shapes. They're much easier to animate, and there's all this movement in a large shape, gravity, the drapery of clothing, that it becomes a lot more charming, really, to have larger shapes versus many, many small ones. So if you think about it, these are all pretty bulky shapes, and that's why I want to keep it bulky, not only because he's an orc, but because I wanted to push that feeling of volume. So I pushed the exact same feeling on this character, which isn't an orc. She's the opposite. She's tall and slender. But I also wanted to keep moving with that volume, thinking, keeping empty space so that we can have all that positive space where all the detail is clustered, so that we can have a nice juxtaposition of the two main forces that drive the drawing and control the composition. So most of these characters here are just experimentational. They're not really coming from some large narrative. It's just a minor narrative floating in the air as I draw, just to keep me going. She's supposed to be some kind of loyal, some kind of a post-colonial something something. Um, so yeah, I went back to this guy. I felt like he needed a little bit more detail, just touching up some minor stuff. And yeah, again, really balance the larger shape. So as you can see, I'm starting the next troll, or I'm starting the next dwarf, sorry. And I'm thinking about the larger shapes. I'm using really rough lines that I'm going to lower the opacity for. And I'm going in and this is me correcting my tablet settings. Yeah, and I'm decreasing the opacity of the messy lines and I'm trying to create some clean lines on top. The concept always changes between the layers. Nothing stays the same, but I know what I was going for. So this leads me to my next tip. When you're thinking about the large shapes, think about the silhouette. So if you were to change this whole thing into one black shape, how would it look? And that's what you should be imagining. When I imagine a character in my mind and I'm going in to draw and render it, I'm thinking about the silhouette plus the large shapes, the empty space, and how it looks as a silhouette. I could care less about the kind of nose. I can care less about the kind of beard or the kind of pants he's wearing. Really, what carries the image is when you zoom out, is there still a charm? Is there still a read? Because that's the only thing viewers look at commercially. When we're talking commercially and we're talking about game design, and you're in a game or some kind of uh, game setup where the character is really far away from you as you're playing, you want a kind of read that reads instantly, so you don't have to look too close or zoom the camera up to the character too close in order to understand what's going on in their costume. What you want are those big, large, wispy shapes that read from a distance, that really sharp, and you can just see the exact shape they're going for, symmetrical, asymmetrical, but as long as it reads from a distance in a silhouette with large spaces that are mostly empty, that's what carries it. It's like the canvas on which, really literally, it is the canvas on which we decorate some detail. We can't have detail only and not zoom out. And as you can tell, it's annoying to watch in time lapse. I'm so sorry. It's probably annoying to watch on stream, but if you notice, I'm constantly zooming out. So it's like a blink out and then go back in, blink out, go back in. And this pattern is really important. I want to get you guys in the habit of using this exact method. This technique is really important because it allows you to zoom out and test this massive information you just added while zoomed in. It allows you to zoom back out and test whether or not it's a successful addition to the map of the concept. So this guy looks great, but he doesn't look that great to me yet. I'm still zooming out, testing whether or not I need any more detail. Does he look empty? Does does the concept look really plain or boring? How should I decorate it? Where can I afford some more detail? And the slightest little additions really make all the difference. You just have to make sure you zoom out. If you're not in God mode, you don't have anything. Like I did the tail for the bird, but I didn't like it once I zoomed out because it felt like it was combined with the staff. So I zoomed back out and fixed the tail. I zoomed out and saw that guy's foot was all off. And so zooming out is really your best friend in concept design when you're creating concepts for characters and you're trying to get a character that reads from a distance. Zooming out is the way to go. I have recorded some more of these, like I recorded the time lapse of most of these characters, the human characters, but they don't seem very important compared to the bulky, shorter characters to me, which is the ones that I really wanted to show you guys. Yeah, that was just a little joke I made, drawing stars all over his abs. But yeah, I wanted to explore the male character, kind of the opposite of the girl adjacent to him. He's kind of like the mercenary, the one opposing the loyal family. He doesn't really serve the king. He's a rogue. So I wanted to go for that. He's kind of instilled his own royalty by wearing those military clothes, but he's like adjusted them a little bit to fit his lifestyle as a pirate or whatever he is. He's usually, I think I did imagine a pirate when I was drawing him, but not so much a bad pirate, just a I'm a free man kind of pirate. So I wanted to give him his military kind of army suit, but as well give him that sense of freedom. So this is why his sleeves aren't in or occupied. And now I'm adding to this fellowship, and this is the witch, the healer. The guy before I drew was the shaman. The guy beside her is the sorcerer. But yeah, she's the healer, kind of like a herbologist or something like that. She knows old relics, very similar to the shaman, but a little bit like the female shaman. Um, and again, yeah, zooming out constantly, balancing large shapes. I kind of wanted her to fit into her surroundings as she's looking around for herbs. She finds a way to camouflage, so she's always dwelling in the forest area, and she's always in the grass. You always find her somewhere in a bush and looking for herbs and scavenging and stuff like that. I wanted to make her feel like she was seasoned, like she's seen many years, like she's wise as well. So I gave her that androgynous old man or old woman feel, which as they get older, you can practically use a male old man or a male old woman face. The gender difference really just gets there's like a faded line between male and female as you get older. So you see a lot of empty space at the bottom, but I had a chance to cluster the detail on the bark. So that's what I'm talking about. Try to make sure that you have breathing room. And really the pattern is detail, rest, detail, rest, detail, rest, or detail, relief, detail, relief. And that's what's most important. If you're finding that you can't just go straight in with clean lines, please, for me, try to empty, like go crazy and fill an empty layer with just crazy lines. Experiment, zoom out, see if you can establish some nice breathing room, a nice pattern of shapes combined together, big and small. Decide where you're going to have some detail clustered, where you're going to have some other stuff. And I work in layers and then merge down. This is a really safe way because I'm constantly editing my concepts, and nothing's ever going to stay the same. The messy lines, the messy levels they're never going to be the same as the final level. So you see this, what I'm doing right now, experimentation. I capture the gesture lines and the gesture in very, very rough stage, allowing me to experiment and be very flexible, not afraid to correct. As you can see, I just corrected the arm, but if this was me rendering the arm with some really clean lines, I'd first of all mourn the fact that I have to correct it, and then I would just finally decide to correct it, or maybe not even correct it and stick with that stiff hand. So those lines underneath, they don't look like much, but I promise you they're the reason why this sketch was a success. They're the reason why many of my sketches are a success, and they will be the reason why your sketches are a success. And yeah, so when I do go into the line stage, it's me just following exactly what I decided. You have to learn to let go. Once you enter this beauty stage, I call it the beautifying stage or the beauty stage, it's nothing but clean lines. At this point, if you're redesigning and making some major changes to the general concept that you hadn't made in the rough stage, make a new layer and rough those new changes out. Don't try to make those new changes with clean lines only. So I got rid of her hair. I didn't like the way it looked on the silhouette. I wanted a bolder shape, a bulkier shape. I wanted her to feel like a tank. So a female tank, a female bruiser to add to the fellowship. So I really went for that thick armor, a little bit of belly showing just to show that she's a feminine, that she looks feminine. But other than that, really, that's the biggest thing that I think about when I'm sketching and changing and deciding concepts and deciding on costume. What is their role in the narrative? What is their role? And I was talking about a floating narrative, like thinking about the general story. This does wonders for you. Again, it doesn't seem like much, but it does wonders for your production and wonders for the production or for the thing that you produce at the very end. Production process and for the product itself. I mean. So this guy, a little bit shorter, a little bit wonkier, large head, thin body, very slender legs, the opposite of a tank, kind of like an intelligent boy, the smarts of the party. He reads maps, he casts spells, he's a historian, he's an academic, as you can see by his cloak or his robes. He's also a sorceress. I wanted to give him his source, but I didn't want him to seem like he put sorcery or battle before books. So I wanted to definitely have him holding his book with his staff on his back. So he puts intelligence and thinking before he does violence. So that's the kind of character I was going for. I gave him a sweet face. He is a kind boy, a little bit misunderstood, and of course reminiscent to Harry Potter. How can I not? But I didn't want him to look like Harry. Harry's a bit timid in my eyes. I feel like I wanted to make this guy look a little bit more stern, a little bit more aware, and has been in this fellowship for a while. So this fellowship, this whole 5 character party is going to be something I was going to assign my community if you guys want to be a part of it. That's going to be the next challenge. And I hope I see some of this kind of production and technique in what I see from students. Thank you everyone for being part of this patronage. You guys are amazing. I hope these videos help you. This is not stuff I show to anybody. Really, it's very exclusive. And I never really talk about time lapse, and I've kept that exclusively for you guys. Thank you guys so much. Bye-bye.